All right, pal. So, what has it been like working with me so far?
For me, it's been quite enjoyable. I think the bit that stood out for me is sort of your attention to detail, really working on the technique. I've been quite lazy in the gym in the past and sort of been like, let's just get the reps out, let's go home as quick as we can. You're quite stubborn in the right possible way in making sure that we get the right output in terms of what we do with our sessions. So I got a lot of value and a lot of knowledge in terms of the way I should be approaching my session. So I think that was a key turning point for me in the fact that there's the day to day going into the gym and sort of like leaving, feeling like you've done something to kind of coming out and you're like, right, I've really worked every single piece of muscle with muscles that I've not worked before. So I think the other side of it is what you're quite a calm person when you need to be in terms of sort of approaching it in the right way. And you know how far to push someone, which is quite weird. Quite early on, I was like, how do you know how far I can go? And you were
Yeah.
like, you just seem to kind of gauge it, which was quite good. But you knew how to like push me to my limit, or past the limit that I needed to, but without me feeling sort of like I'm just going to collapse. I'm going to be done. I felt in a safer place, should I say? So that was always a good place.
Brilliant. Good. So, what problem was it we was able to solve together?
So for me, a lot of it was the strength side of things. I play football, been playing for most of my life, um, and I was worried about a little bit about my posture, worried about sort of driving sort of force and energy and that power for the sports. And I remember we did the assessment in terms of like my body and what it looks like, in terms of where there's weaknesses, and it stood out a little bit. And I remember towards the end, like my shoulder, yeah, that started to feel stronger. My core was feeling a hell of a lot stronger than it ever was, and you could see that was starting to drive into games. But yeah, I think the key bit is probably strength, which is what I was focusing on really, and sort of that the legs more than anything because.
Hmm.
Do a lot of running, but you forget how much you need to strengthen that up for football as well, which is quite positive.
Yeah. So, what was it like before we started working together? You've touched on it a little bit, but what was it like before?
I mean, you say before what, on my own, or do you mean
Yeah, on your
before?
own. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the big thing to kind of take away from me is I've done quite a lot of different. I've gone down a lot of different avenues to sort of educate myself in gyms. So I used to do CrossFit. I've been to other PTs. I've been training with footballers and so on. And I remember speaking to a friend of mine, and he was telling me about how he extended his time of football by going to see you. And I remember just like I'm getting these injuries, I'm getting older. And I wasn't really educated, is the honest answer.
Mhm.
I used to see you doing personal training for other people. Albeit you try to think, okay, I'll just copy that. In reality, when you come to do it, it's completely different. You're like, okay, that's how you actually do it. But I think it was able to sort of give me a bit more structure towards my routine to sort of kind of like align to the goals, I'd say, about how do you want to get the best out of a football, what exercises should you do, rather than being generic. So it gave me a little bit more tailored, refined focus, I'd say.
Like personal to you, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, how did you find the processes and systems you touched on it at the start in terms of assessments and things like that? But how did you find the process and the system you went through?
Yeah, I think it was quite useful for me to sort of see where my baseline was, and I remember a conversation with you quite early on about there's no point just doing a couple of weeks. It's better to set a goal and what you're striving towards. And I certainly had a subconscious goal of getting better at football. I think it was that measuring of right. Well, let's put a program together so you can measure where you are today to where you're going to be sort of in the future. And I think the bit of the program helping out, sort of breaking it down into what you're going to do in this quarter, the next quarter, and so on, and then the app as well, which was sort of beneficial to do stuff outside of the personal sessions because yeah, you can't just have one session and expect it to be everything's going to be fine. But the True Coach app it's called, isn't it? That's really
Yeah.
good. I find that really useful for the videos in particular. And it gives you a little bit more motivation to sort of tick it off the box sort of thing to say you've done it. So I thought the tools and even probably the diet side of things. So the
Hmm.
fact that you went over and beyond and sort of like here's your diet plan, go away and have a look at this sort of stuff, and you know um, you can help with that. But if you want to go and do it yourself, then great. There was options there for me to sort of work out how much I wanted to invest as well. But the tools were there, I'd say, to help me with it. So that was good.
Awesome. So what do you think your favourite thing was about working with me then?
But for me, I'd say attention to detail may be quite generic, but I touched on it a little bit earlier. It was it was a technique and sort of the why of what we're doing, and what relevance it is to the goal that I'm trying to set. So I'm sure you could have given me another 100 exercises to do. That would have been quite beneficial. Apologies about background. Yeah, I'm sure you could have given me quite a lot of exercises, but you very much had a look at what were my weaknesses and, how do I perform them exercises to the best and optimized way so that I can get the most out of them. And I just remember the is it the bird dog example, put the ball in the back and then not letting it fall. It just sort of resonates with you about, right, I feel that I'm having to work every single muscle. Whereas I've done it before in the past and it was like, okay, I've done that, I've done it for a minute, but I never got the really output of probably what I needed. So, it's that attention to detail and that technique about really getting the best out of the sessions, really. So that's what stood out for me.
Yeah, brilliant. So how would you describe the service to somebody else then? If you could do it in a paragraph.
I'd probably say a very much a high quality, tailored, professional service, really. That's probably the best way to explain it. So the reason why I touch upon them points is, you are professional in your manner about the way you approach it. You can have a laugh, but you are very much there to get a job done, which is always good to have. Tailored in particular, because that's something that's really important to you as well as making it important to the client. So the quality bit is, as I mentioned, about the technique as well. It's not here, come in, just do what you're going to do. It's about getting the most out of your time, your sessions, and getting the most out of yourself. So, that's how I'd probably describe it. And hopefully I've explained it in terms of why I've mentioned that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So why did you choose me over other coaches you spoke with in the past?
So referrals, really. You sort of, without giving it a negative connotation about, PTs, it's costing this, etc. But, there's a couple of friends of mine I play football with. They're very fit in terms of the football side of things. And I'm like, right, I need to do something about it. And they recommended you. And I remember, on the back of the initial sort of assessment, it wasn't really too pushy. It was very much, go away. You've obviously got a job to do as well, but it felt like I learned some stuff about myself in the assessment. I also felt you were very eager to help me on my journey. And obviously the backing of my friends that have obviously been with you and done an amazing job to play at their age and keep going. It was a massive bonus, to say the least. But no, that's why I obviously came to.
Brilliant. So last one. What would you say to someone who's sitting on the fence now about working with me in the future?
For me, it's give it a go. The proof's in the pudding, really. So it's an investment. If you are looking to get something out for yourself and learn and improve, some of this stuff I probably wish I knew 10 years ago. The bit for me is that you may think you know it, but until you sort of done these sessions with you sort of really refine a touch on the technique about how you actually go about doing stuff. And to be honest, the other bit is if someone has a goal and looking to get a PT, when I talked about the tailoring it, I think you'll be able to help them with, okay, how do you reach that goal? And there's different aspects of it. I think there's if it's very much sports specific, I think you summed it up quite well. If it's bodybuilding, you're doing different parts of your body. If you're doing something for sports, it's that push pull sort of analogy of how do you approach your exercises. And if you do want to invest in yourself, there's an option obviously invested in you sort of to sort of learn a bit more. So definitely give it a go. If it doesn't work for you, then great. That option's always open after to not stop, not continue it, but that's something I can discuss with you anyway.
Perfect. Cheers, mate. Appreciate that.